running to Badlands. Explain those Badlands. That's a hell of a name.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Herold here on Badlands Media. I am your host, Jon Herold, and we are going to ram through a bunch of news today. So much going on, even stuff breaking, all the news you can handle in under an hour. We're going to get right to it with our sponsors. First up, we got Goldco. Thank you, Goldco, for sponsoring today's show. The last 4 years have put so much stress on American family finances. Help end the stress now and celebrate the golden age with President Trump by diversifying with gold and silver. Remember President Trump's first term? Gold increased by 55%. So don't wait. Diversify your hard-earned assets and buy your gold from Goldco now with no purchase minimums. Goldco has been established as a top-rated precious metals company and a leader in the gold industry, providing white glove treatment for over 10 years. Their buyback guarantee assures you that if your situation changes, they will repurchase your metals at the best price, providing you with peace of mind. You may even qualify for up to 10% back in bonus silver. Visit badlandsgold.com to claim your free information and instantsilver.com/badlands to see how much free silver you can get. You can find out the relationship between gold, silver, Trump, and you with a free report focused on Trump and your financial future. That's badlandsgold.com and instantsilver.com/badlands to take control of your financial destiny. All right, guys. So much going on. It's almost impossible to choose what news to go through, but I'm going to do my best. Let's start out with some heartwarming stuff that's going on. This was yesterday, the signing of the executive order having to do with banning males from women's sports. Take a look.
You know, if you'd like to gather around me, I think I'm going to be okay. Come on. Come on. Secret Service is worried about them. If we have to worry about them, we have big problems. Okay, do you want to do this? Watch what I do, and then I'm going to give you some pens, okay? You ready? What a nice picture this is, huh, Governor? You ready? We'll do a good job. Wait, let me press that. I want to make this a really good signature because this is a big one, right? Oh, I think we have a 10. We have a 10.
God bless you, Mr. President.
Just super cool to see Trump doing this. He's so relatable. It's like just Grandpa Trump, you know? And you would never see this picture or this scene with Biden in office. And by the way, do we ever see Biden actually signing executive orders? Did he ever sign those in front of cameras? I mean, his first day in office, yes, I remember that. But I don't remember that happening many other times. Like zoomed in on the signature like Trump does. It's pretty rare. But yeah, if Biden was there, he'd be sniffing all the kids. He'd be too distracted to actually sign anything. So just so cool to see Trump doing this. But yeah, the executive order he signed was keeping men out of women's sports. It's up on the website. In recent years, many educational institutions and athletic associations have allowed men to compete in women's sports. Therefore, it is the policy of the United States to rescind all funds from educational programs that deprive women and girls of fair athletic opportunities. It shall also be the policy of the United States to oppose male competitive participation in women's sports more broadly as a matter of safety, fairness, and truth. I think I also saw, let me double check this. I think the NCAA agreed to comply with this, or at least to look into it. Yeah. A statement from the NCAA president, Charlie Baker, regarding the executive order. And this is great to see these organizations falling in line with Trump's orders because they were getting a little out of control, allowing this woke ideology to, permeate. The NCAA is an organization made up of 1,100 colleges and universities in all 50 states that collectively enroll more than 530,000 student athletes. We strongly believe that clear, consistent, and uniform eligibility standards would best serve today's student athletes instead of a patchwork of conflicting state laws and court decisions. To that end, President Trump's order provides a clear national standard. The NCAA Board of Governors is reviewing the executive order and will take necessary steps to align NCAA policy in the coming days. Subject to further guidance from the administration, the association will continue to help foster welcoming environments on campuses for all student athletes. We stand ready to assist schools as they look for ways to support any student athletes affected by changes in the policy. So yeah, this is just great to see. And I'm curious to see how the Olympic Committee reacts, because we have that in 2028. Trump has basically said they will comply. I know Secretary of State Rubio is going to be speaking with them, but I would like to see them almost try not to comply for a little bit, just to see Trump's response. Like, what if he threatens to just pull the United States from the Olympics and start his own competition? Totally see him doing something like that. Some more good news from this morning. We had Trump at the National Prayer Breakfast, and I got a couple clips from this just because I think this is so cool and such an important thing for him to be doing.
So let's bring religion back. Let's bring God back into our lives. Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Great honor. Thank you.
The whole focus was bringing God back into our lives. I think that's a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's a couple pieces of news that he announced there. We got the creation of a faith office, a White House faith office. This is great.
Creating the White House faith office led by Pastor Paula White, who is so amazing. This week, I'm also creating the White House.
Oops. Dang it, I realized I missed something with the no men and women's sports. I'll just show it, I guess, but I won't play the whole clip. 80% of the country agrees on it, that men should not be competing in women's sports. Pretty rare you get that kind of bipartisanship in the country. But anyway, let's look at this. Another thing he's doing, not only is he creating the White House prayer office, he's also creating a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias. Take a listen.
To confront such weaponization and religious persecution, today I'm signing an executive order to make our Attorney General, who's a great person, she's going to be a great Attorney General, Pam Bondi, the head of a task force, brand new, to eradicate anti-Christian bias. About time, right? Anti-Christian bias. To confront.
I mean, that's great. And Pam Bondi is going to be a great Attorney General. We're going to get into some of her other things she's doing here a little bit later. We'll keep rolling through here. And this might be a little discombobulated, the stories. I might go back and forth between stuff I've talked about and stuff I haven't, just because I literally have so many tabs open right now with so much going on. But I do want to post this. This seemed weird. It's a Truth Social post from Trump. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. The Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. I don't understand why he mentioned Chuck Schumer. Like, it's super random. But anyway, they would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The U.S., working with great development teams from all over the world, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what would become one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on Earth. No soldiers by the U.S. would be needed. Stability for the region would reign. So this is a great post. This is great. He's further clarifying the details of what he announced 2 days ago about us and our involvement in the Gaza Strip. And again, not having U.S. soldiers in the region is the main thing I wanted to hear. Like, that was my biggest concern, is I don't want, from an America First perspective, I don't want another foreign war. I don't want our soldiers deployed in another area. The next thing I want to see is, what is our investment going to be with this? And what is our return on that investment going to be? Like, I'm okay with sending dollars to a project if we have a return on that investment. Like, I don't just want to foreign aid, give money away, grants, loans, and allow it to be money laundered, which we're going to talk about again with the USAID stuff. But I'm totally okay with investment projects around the world as long as we get the money back and some sort of return. I'm totally okay with that. So curious to see more details of this plan. As we've talked about the last couple of days, yesterday's show, the Power Hour, I really don't think what he said about us even going over there and being on the ground and rebuilding, I doubt it's going to play out that way. A lot of world leaders have stepped in and said, yeah, we're not cool with this. But we'll see. We did get this release yesterday. So FCC Chair Brendan Carr has been basically on on the tails of CBS, kind of riding them a little bit about what they did with the Kamala Harris interview. And if you remember, I think Trump threatened to sue CBS. He might have even sued. I don't even remember. I don't remember if that was a rumor or if he actually did it. But it was over the 60-minute interview. I think he did sue. I'm pretty sure he sued. But if you remember back in the day, they had this whole, recording of the CBS interview, and then it came out that they edited what they ended up airing to completely leave out context of some clips. This is Trump's post on it. CBS and 60 Minutes defrauded the public by doing something which has never to this extent been seen before. They 100% removed Kamala's horrible election-changing answers to questions and replaced them with completely different and far better answers taken from another part of the interview. This was election-changing stuff, election interference, quite simply, election fraud at a level never seen before. CBS should lose its license, and the cheaters at 60 Minutes should all be thrown out, and this disreputable news show should be immediately terminated. With the new Democrat scandal that just arose with respect to USAID illegally paying large sums of money to Politico and other media outlets, the question must be asked, was CBS paid for committing this fraud? Many other questions to come. This will go down as the biggest broadcasting scandal in history. That's saying a lot, because there's been a lot of broadcasting scandals. To say this is the biggest one, it might be being a little hyperbolic, but if you think about the theme of it, of a news agency partaking in a form of what he is calling election interference, election fraud, election changing stuff, that is a big scandal, but it's not unique. This has happened many, many times. And so if this is just the tip of that iceberg of a more broader scandal, totally agree with him. Totally agree. This is the biggest broadcasting scandal if you're talking on the broad scope of media companies committing election fraud. Totally agree. But I actually have a clip I'm going to play here from this interview.
Madam Vice President, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill.
And if the audio is poor, it's not my fault. It's Twitter's. I have everything maxed out. So
Good to be with you.
Well, can we just get just a little bit of a question, please, so I can get it from the shoulder shot?
Yeah,
One second. Just a second. Okay, thank you.
this is just total
Can you talk-
propaganda.
Yes, sir.
well, we were talking about how you're going to pay for it. And I mean, I truly do mean it. Your plans are logical, make logical sense. The way Washington works is not logical. So how are you going to convince a divided Congress that what you say, your plans, are something that they should all agree to and provide to the American people when they've shown no inclination to do that up to this point?
Is that what you needed?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. 30 seconds of silence, please, for each one.
They don't even have her answer. They're going to splice in the answer later on. They just wanted the clip of him asking it. That's propaganda, guys. Do you understand that? That's insane. Anyway, we'll keep going. I bet we have not heard the last of this saga with FCC Chair Brendan Carr all over it. There could be some ramifications from CBS for what they did here. And it could change the landscape of how the media operates too, which that's what I'm hoping to see. We got news following Trump leaving the World Health Organization. Argentina has now left the World Health Organization. I wonder how many other organizations or how many other countries are going to leave the World Health Organization. Because at some point, especially with the funding, I mean, think of how much of our USAID dollars are funding stuff like this, even indirectly. It's not just us directly funding the WHO. It's these other organizations within our government that are sending it to these like nonprofit groups or whatever. And then the money's making its way to places like the WHO too. If they get that funding cut off, they can't survive, which is great, which is what I hope happens. But we got another country leaving. It's awesome. We have the DOJ. They're suing Chicago and Illinois over immigration enforcement. The U.S. Department of Justice has initiated legal action against the state of Illinois and the city of Chicago, alleging that their sanctuary policies obstruct federal immigration enforcement. The lawsuit, part of a broader strategy against sanctuary jurisdictions, targets Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson for policies that allegedly interfere with the ICE's operations. And they said they were going to be doing this stuff. They said that they weren't going to put up with these governors, these liberal states, basically harboring fugitives, illegal immigrants. So this is fantastic. And you know what? I should play this clip too. Gosh, there's so many things popping in my head of stuff I've seen over the last couple of days as I'm going through these topics. Dan Goldman basically did a stream yesterday where he was giving advice to people, putting out Chinese videos in Chinese instructing illegal aliens how to evade ICE. This is crazy.
Administration has carried out deportations, raids all across the country, including here in New York City. These are certainly uncertain times, but no matter what, it's important that you know your rights when interacting with law enforcement. In all circumstances, you have the right to remain silent, and in most cases, ICE cannot search you or your things without your consent. In all circumstances.
Like, do you understand what he's doing here? This is one of our elected officials, congressmen, giving advice in multiple different languages of how people can avoid arrest and deportation. Just blatantly working against the Trump agenda. And I want to see what Tom Homan does, because at some point, I think we're going to see an elected official, whether it's at a local level or a federal level, get arrested for this interference. It's got to happen. We got to have that precedent set at some point. Anyway, we got this news. I don't know if it's like the full details, okay? And it's from Unusual Whales. They're normally pretty good with breaking news, but again, a little bit of skepticism. I have seen it on a couple other outlets too. I just can't find which tab I had it on, so we'll go with this. But the Trump-Ukraine peace deal, or the Russia-Ukraine peace deal, the plan for it has allegedly been leaked. Okay, Trump aims to have Zelensky agree to a ceasefire by April 20th, stopping Russia's advance. Ukraine would be barred from joining NATO under the plan. And that's the big one, because Ukraine has been wanting to join NATO for a long time. Russia has said absolutely not. NATO will not expand its borders to countries even closer to Russia. We're not going to allow it. So far, the first big topic is exactly what Russia wanted. Ukraine not in NATO. Kyiv would recognize Russian sovereignty over annexed lands and withdraw troops from Kursk. European, possibly British troops would police a demilitarized zone with no U.S. involvement. And that's interesting. But I like that, no U.S. involvement. But I think this kind of takes us back to where we were, back pre-2014, before the color revolution, of these states. They want to be part of Russia, these countries. And that's where Russia's kind of annexed. If I don't know exactly where the borders are, but I believe this is the peace plan in a lot of ways that was on the table and pretty much agreed to even by Zelensky back in like March or May of 2022. And it was the European Union and NATO and Biden that took that peace deal off the table. And if it's anything even close to that peace deal, the ramifications for that for NATO and all these people, it should be pretty harsh. If it's the same peace deal, then these last 2 years technically could have been avoided. We went through 2 years of what we're told is just crazy, insane bloodshed. Trump says millions of people dead because they stalled. NATO wanted this war, the money laundering, the money and arms and everything being sent over there. I hope we get some truth on that. I really do. I don't know if we will, but this will be interesting to see. I want to see the actual details of it, as with all things. So this is some news here. Trump media is launching a Bitcoin Plus ETF. And this was with their, I don't know what this is from. But Trump Media and Technology Group, which counts Trump as majority owner, on Thursday said it had filed to register trademarks for new investment vehicles under its financial tech brand, Truth.fi. Each of the exchange-traded funds, ETF, and separately managed accounts, SMA, will sound familiar to anyone even tangentially familiar with the president's speeches over the past several months. Truth.fi plans to offer the Made in America, U.S. energy independence, and Bitcoin Plus ETFs and SMAs. According to the company, the plans include an investment of up to $250 million custodied by Charles Schwab, while Yorkville advisors will guide TMTG. So I don't know, guys. I know there's people out there that have different opinions on different cryptocurrencies. There seems to be a shift though towards the Bitcoin, which if you've been watching Badlands for a while, that's kind of been anticipated. But I don't know. I don't see an XRP plus ETF. But maybe that'll come. Who knows? Still a long way to go. But this is notable. If you haven't yet, I would encourage you to get some Bitcoin started. Get some Bitcoin. Get an account started at River. Badlandsmedia.tv/River. I don't think you'll regret it. We also got this. This is kind of crazy, but not really that surprising. Democrats just delayed Kash Patel's FBI nomination vote in the committee by 1 week. He's still on the path to be confirmed. He's got the votes, but they've delayed it. And here is Grassley and his comments on it.
Good morning. Today's markup will be brief, so I'll get right down to business. On our agenda, we've got 3 administrative committee matters and 1 nomination listed. The minority, as well as myself, has exercised their right and my right under the committee rules to hold over the nomination of Kash Patel to be director of the FBI. So that nomination is held over.
It almost makes you wonder too if part of this is on purpose, because Grassley, he's a Trump ally, I would say. I mean, not everything he does is in line with what Trump wants, but for the large majority of things, he is. And there's a lot of drama unfolding at the FBI at the moment with the people they're firing and all these things. And I don't think it hurts Kash Patel or the Trump administration to keep a little distance for as long as possible, because he's going to get confirmed through this committee. They're going to vote him out of committee, and he's likely going to get the votes to pass the full Senate. And so while this turmoil is going on at the FBI, I think I'm okay with Kash having that distance, that narrative shielding to not have to be the target of all these firings and everything going on. Let it all happen before he gets in there. So let's see what happens with this. But I bet we're in for some more bombshells from the FBI. I might even have a story about the FBI in here if we get to it. But yeah, we'll wait on that. I think we also have, I think we're providing coverage right now of, or at least we were this morning, if I can find it. I think we were covering the AG guy. Senate confirmation hearing of, yeah, I think it's the AG. Or Jamison Greer, maybe, U.S. Trade Ambassador. I don't know. It's hard to keep up on top of all that. And Ash didn't text me this morning, so I blame her for not getting me updated. Okay. The deadline for federal workers to take the deal from Trump expires today at midnight, 11:59. If they accept it, they get the 8 months off, paid vacation, essentially. All they have to do is resign. That deadline is today. I think as of yesterday or the day before, it was rumored that there's like 40,000 people who have taken them up on this offer. We'll find out today, or at least for sure tomorrow, how many people have taken them up. And I'm very curious to see what percentage of federal employees have done so, because they're not messing around. The people in these positions, especially if they are not in line with Trump's agenda, they got to be wondering what would be the point of not taking this offer when Trump has clearly shown in these last 2 weeks that they are not putting up with any of it. They have no patience for the BS. They're firing people. They're letting people go. Like, they're putting people away from their offices. They're not going to put up with any of it. So even if there's individuals out there who think that they can, embed themselves within Trump's administration and work on behalf of the deep state and be like, little heroes, they're not going to be able to do it. They aren't putting up with any of it. But the deadline's tonight. We'll see how it goes. We got this news out of the FAA. They're making a safety update over at the Reagan National Airport. The Federal Aviation Administration plans to announce it will reduce arrivals at Washington Reagan National Airport in D.C. after a deadly collision between a helicopter and American Airlines regional jet killed 67 people. The FAA told airlines late Wednesday that the reduction from a maximum of 28 to 26 arrivals per hour would reduce future risks. Reagan National Airport is notoriously crowded, and the crossover in the airspace between jets and helicopters is pretty routine. I mean, it makes sense after what happened. No reason to risk it, even if it's for the biscuit. But let's get into some of the. I think this is where we're going to get into a lot about the USAID here. Oh, what story is this? Oh, here. Actually, this is one more story first. This is pretty interesting. Trump's Justice Department and Pam Bondi at the head of it, at the AG, they are shuttering the specialized FBI team combating foreign election interference threats. The FBI is preparing to disband a team of specialists charged with combating foreign threats to U.S. elections, a source familiar with tells CNN. So take it with a grain of salt, not confirmed. It's just a source, but they have been pretty accurate with some of these things the last couple of weeks, especially when it comes to what Trump is doing within his administration. The shuttering of the FBI Foreign Influence Task Force and planned reassigning of team members follows a directive from incoming and newly sworn-in U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi dissolving the team. To free resources to address more pressing priorities and end risks of further weaponization and abuses of prosecutorial discretion, the Foreign Influence Task Force shall be disbanded, Bondi wrote in a memo issued Wednesday. And I don't know what to feel about this. I really don't. The task force was established by former FBI Director Wray in 2017. And it all came from the Russian foreign interference efforts. And we all know that was BS in the first place. And I just have so many questions and thoughts here. So I do believe our elections are fake. I don't think we can trust them. I don't know how much actual foreign interference there is. I do believe there's a lot of domestic interference, and we haven't seen any actual movement on that. The foreign interference that we see, if it's even true based on what these people are telling us, it's Russia standing up bots to try to sway public perception of things. It's stuff that we do to them too. It's a lot of narrative warfare. There was the story of the RT and Russian government funding tenant media, and that money went to people like Tim Pool and Benny Johnson and Dave Rubin. Tim Pool got paid $100,000 for one episode a week. I think Dave Rubin was getting like $400,000 a month for, one episode a week. I don't know how much Benny Johnson got, but it is funny if you guys go look at their Twitter profiles, all the people that were involved with the tenant media thing and getting money from Russia, like huge money to do basically nothing at a media company, they really haven't said hardly anything about the USAID funding Politico. I went and looked myself. Benny Johnson, all he did was like quote tweet one post with a couple emojis. Tim Pool had one post and it wasn't really anything to do with Politico. Dave Rubin, I don't think, had a single thing. And that's good. These guys, they should keep their mouths shut when they literally they were the same thing, just on the other side. Politico got a bunch of money, and there's a bunch of other news media agencies that got a bunch of money from USAID. And those guys got money from the USAID version of Russia. It's the same kind of thing. Whether or not they were doing propaganda stuff, that could be debated. I have no idea. I don't know where that lawsuit is or where the DOJ is with that, and maybe they weren't aware at all, but they got big money to do basically nothing, which is essentially what Politico got too. But anyway, when it comes to this foreign election interference stuff, I've said for a long time, the reason these task forces at the FBI were set up in the first place was to just direct narratives. That's all it's about. Even Trump's Executive Order 13848, it calls for an assessment and a report based on that assessment about the election interference that takes place from foreign countries. And all they do is use that to push whatever narrative they want. In 2020, it was, oh yeah, Russia interfered in the election on behalf of Trump, but China didn't do anything, even though Dean Ratcliffe disagreed. The 2022 midterm, same thing. Iran, all these people are looking to interfere in the election on behalf of Trump, but nobody's trying to do anything on behalf of Biden. We haven't seen the report as of yet, I don't think, I should look for that, from 2024. But those would have been due out. I think the first report would have been due out December like 15th or 16th or something. And then the following one would be here in March. So it's just an interesting move, because one of the things I want to see most of all is the Trump administration tackle election interference. You can do all the good things in the world, and I say this over and over again, but none of it matters if you don't fix the root cause of why these bad things took place in the first place, and that is fixing our election system. We got to get there. But this is an interesting first step. I wouldn't be surprised if we get something else to come in its place. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But they're wasting no time. Pam Bondi's getting in there, and she is clearing house. Let's get to a Trump comment about USAID. Looks like billions of dollars have been stolen. Spelled stolen wrong again. I know the Q folks are enjoying that one. At USAID and other agencies, much of it going to the fake news media as a payoff for creating good stories about the Democrats. The left-wing rag, known as Politico, seems to have received $8 million. Did the New York Times receive money? Who else did? This could be the biggest scandal of them all, perhaps the biggest in history. Democrats can't hide from this one. Too big, too dirty. And it's funny because he just said the CBS thing was one of the biggest scandals in history. A lot of big scandals in history breaking, which isn't a bad thing when they're against our government. Here's what Stephen Miller had to say. This is a fantastic post. For the last 4 years, before President Trump's inauguration, we had no democracy. Joe Biden was a puppet in charge of nothing. The corporate media and Democrat Party engaged in a monstrous cover-up to conceal this now indisputable truth. Our government was instead run by unelected bureaucrats who ruthlessly weaponized state power against their political enemies, engineered mass illegal voting in our elections, installed a draconian censorship regime, instituted a colossal system of state-sponsored racial discrimination, orchestrated a vast border invasion to try to permanently alter the balance of power, trafficked 500,000 children across the border, allowed criminals to freely terrorize our citizens, and raided the Treasury to fund a political army of Marxist radicals in a bid for permanent control over U.S. institutions. President Trump saved America and democracy itself. And that is so spot on of what happened. And it's kind of a lot of what we've been saying here on Badlands for the last 4 years. And I know a lot of people have been saying this for much longer than we have, but absolutely love to see this stuff hitting the public conscious. Everybody's talking about it. And that is a good thing. And here's what Trump said about it at the breakfast this morning.
No, they gave money to all this out of U.S. aid, right? USAID. It came out hundreds of just tremendous amounts of money, had nothing to do with anything. This is a terrible thing that was experienced, but we're catching them left and right. We're catching them. We're catching them to a point where they don't know what the heck is going on. They can't believe they're getting caught. And I have great respect for the people that are doing it. Elon Musk is helping us on it. And he's pretty good. He's pretty good. He's pretty good at it. But the numbers are astounding. They're astounding. Even Doug was shaken up by what he heard. Do you believe that, Doug? What you've been reading? It's just very dishonest stuff.
It is very dishonest stuff, isn't it? We got this too. This broke last night. And now I'll admit I'm not a huge fan of Schellenberger because he's just kind of douchey sometimes, but he is a pretty good reporter. I'll admit that. I didn't like how the Twitter files were unleashed. There are a lot of similarities to the limited hangout. We talked about this on last night's Power Hour. But in a lot of ways, the USAID release and the information coming out, very limited hangouty. But this is a pretty crazy story. And just take a listen.
You have this new piece on Substack that the USAID and the CIA helped orchestrate Trump's impeachment.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse, it's a crazy story. I mean, you might forget that, the House of Representatives impeached President Trump in December of 2019. Many people may not remember that it was a CIA analyst who was left over from the Obama White House who wrote the memo that led to the impeachment. It was all based on hearsay. The person had not actually been in the room with Trump. Nonetheless, this memo that he wrote relied heavily on a report done by an organization funded by USAID. In fact, its initial founding funding, I mean, now it's tens of millions of dollars, had gone into this group called the Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, a name that's not very memorable, OCCRP, but it was basically created as an extension of the State Department and then of USAID. And as you know, Jesse, this is very serious to be involved in an effort to do regime change at home, as we've been discovering as the files have come out with what Elon Musk has been doing. We know that USAID was really about regime change abroad. It was a kind of public-facing part, regime change operation like CIA, but not covert, more overt. Well, now you see a similar blowback, just like they did censorship abroad and brought censorship tools back home. They were doing this sort of thing abroad, creating a predicate, essentially for Trump's impeachment. So I think it's just one of many revelations that we'll see coming out in the next few
So
weeks.
USAID was involved in regime change abroad and here at home. Very interesting. If you want to read more about what Mike.
Yeah. So again, this is kind of stuff that we've been talking about. We know this has been going on for a long time. It's good that it's hitting mainstream. Keep in mind Trump's impeachment, because I have a story that's going to tie into that here a little bit later. But yeah, this is one of the things, a big revelation. Great that the public is seeing this. We have this was posted by Truthhammer, and it's got an insane amount of views. This is insane. And I'm pretty sure I've seen other people post this as well, even though Ben Stiller's denying it and some of these other people are. But apparently Ben Stiller was paid $4 million by USAID to take these photos with Zelensky. Sean Penn was $5 million to take photos. Orlando Bloom was $8 million. Angelina Jolie was $20 million. I mean, how much of the support for Ukraine was totally manufactured? The answer is all of it. All of it was. Your friends put the Ukrainian flag in their Facebook picture because they fell victim to a psyop. Just like every time they change their Facebook profile picture with a little border thing or whatever, it's because they fell victim to a psyop. We have this, NASA spent $500,000 on Politico subscriptions. I don't know. It's pretty crazy that they have a $10,000 subscription package and people were buying it. Most of the people buying it were government agencies, but it's making me rethink our model. I think Badlands needs a $10,000 subscription level. If you would be willing to pay for that, guys, please let me know in the chat. It'd be greatly appreciated. Absolutely nuts. The White House says they're going to cancel the $8 million in Politico subscriptions after a false right-wing conspiracy theory spreads. And this is what's funny, because you have Brian Stelter and all these other people talking about, like CNN, talking about how this is just a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy theory. Levette elevated a bogus claim spreading on social media that Politico and the Associated Press for years received millions of dollars from the U.S. Agency for International Development, which President Donald Trump and Elon Musk have targeted by placing staff on leave. In reality, the payments represented the whole of federal government subscriptions to the news outlet services. All federal agencies combined spent $8.2 million the last year on Politico Pro, according to USAspending.gov. I don't care where it came from. If our government in any way was spending $10,000 for a subscription to Politico Pro, you can't, there's no justification in the world for any news agency to put a subscription level at $10,000. No news agency can provide you with any benefit to make your return on investment for $10,000 worth it. It makes zero sense at all. This is called money laundering through and through. That is not a conspiracy theory. Apologies in advance. But yeah, so they can call it a conspiracy theory all they want. I wouldn't be surprised if CNN got money like this. Brian Stelter, that effing potato. I can't believe these people get a following at all. It is infuriating sometimes going on Twitter and seeing some of these mainstream media guys from CNN and Politico, even if they've left, like the fact they have any engagement and following at all is just, it blows my mind because of how stupid they are and how stupid they've been and how wrong they've been about everything for decades. Makes no sense. That's the only thing that makes me think like, yeah, we're waking up, but we have a long ways to go when these people are still being taken seriously at all. This is kind of breaking news. Doge is supposedly feeding sensitive federal data into AI to hunt for potential spending cuts. Kind of fascinating. I think I have the story on that. Yeah, from the Washington Post. Don't know if it's true because it's coming from a source familiar with the matter who spoke on the condition of anonymity due to fear of retaliation. But it makes sense. It really does. When you think of Elon Musk, all the AI talk. Representatives from Elon Musk's U.S. Doge service have fed sensitive data from across the education department into AI software to probe the agency's programs and spending, according to two people with knowledge of the Doge team's actions. The AI probe includes data with personally identifiable information, blah, blah, blah. And I like how they say this. And sorry, I'm losing my voice apparently. But they show this concern for like AI and people's sensitive data being out there. But they never talk about Salt Typhoon and trying to hack in our stuff. They never talk about any of the breaches of any of the financial stuff that have taken place. They never show any concern over that. They never show concern over any of it unless it's our side trying to get to the bottom of where our corrupt and wasteful government spending is going. then it matters. Then people's sensitive, personally identifiable information matters. Not when TikTok does it, not when Facebook does it. It's when we want to get to the bottom of the corruption of our government. The Doge team is using AI software accessed through Microsoft's cloud computing service Azure to pour through every dollar of money the department disperses, from contracts to grants to work trip expenses. One of the people said lower level department staffers were directed to agency leadership to let Musk's team access the sensitive financial data. But this is going to be a battle. Another thing, BBC put out a statement. I can't believe they actually did this. They put out a statement saying that they're basically big sad that they're no longer getting USAID money. If I were these people, I would not admit that you're getting money from the US government at this point, because it's becoming clear that if that's the case, you are a propaganda tool. You do not want to be associated with this. But no, they came out and said, we're sad that we're not getting this money anymore. A free press is essential to freedom and democracy, and 75% of countries around the world do not have a free press. BBC Media Action supports local media around the world to deliver trusted information to people most in need, like many international development organizations, and they spell it with an S. So you know these people can't be taken seriously in the first place. You can't spell organizations with an S. Anyway, BBC Media Action has been affected by the temporary pause in U.S. government funding, which amounts to about 8% of our income in 2023 and 2024. Blah, blah, blah. Boo-hoo. Here's that Brian Stelter thing. They're responding to rampant right-wing misinformation. I can't wait till that word is like disallowed on the internets, on the interwebs. Misinformation. So stupid. Okay. There's this interesting development going on between Musk and the Treasury payment system. Talked about this, I think it was yesterday or the day before. The Treasury payment system, there's more to this story, okay? Musk associates sought to use critical Treasury payment system to shut down USAID spending, emails show. 4 days after Donald Trump's inauguration, Elon Musk's top lieutenants at the Treasury Department asked its acting secretary, a career civil servant, to immediately shut off all USAID payments using the department's own ultra-sensitive payment processing system. The ask was so out of line with how Treasury normally operates, it prompted a skeptical reply from David Lebrick. Remember that name? We talked about him 2 days ago. He's the guy that if the government reaches its debt limit or debt ceiling, whatever, and has to decide like which government projects we're going to spend money on, that's his position. That was this guy, and he ended up resigning. He was then serving as acting Treasury Secretary, who said he did not believe we have the legal authority to stop an unauthorized payment certified by an agency, according to a source familiar with the exchange. So again, grain of salt. This back and forth over email, described to CNN by a source familiar with it, reveals the first known indication that Trump's Department of Government Efficiency emissaries sought to use Treasury's tools to block some payments fulfilling the president's political agenda. Controversy has also drawn attention to a previously obscure office inside Treasury called Bureau of Fiscal Service, which processes more than 1 billion payments totaling more than $5 trillion a year. Again, we talked about this 2 days ago. Nice to see CNN is catching up. The Treasury Department, in a letter to lawmakers, said the access to the payment systems granted to Krause and a deputy was restricted to read-only. With the payment systems, Trump's newly confirmed Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent delivered the same message in a private meeting with House Republicans on Monday, and he actually also sent a letter to them the other day talking about this as well. Where's that? Oh, it's in here somewhere. I can't find it. I forgot to highlight it. So maybe that's even the wrong one. But anyway, so there's this back and forth. They're revealing that they're trying to get access to this payment system. I believe we have this March debt ceiling debate coming up. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't come to terms and we may get to a period where we reach our debt limit. Congress doesn't, agree to funding, and the government shuts down. And then we have a period of time where somebody has to decide what government agencies are paid for and keep going. And I don't want this Lebrick guy. He's no longer there, but the only people I want in charge of that money and making those decisions is somebody associated with Trump. And it would be a great time period to show the world what government agencies are actually necessary to be funded and which ones you don't need. That's where I think this is going. But there's some back and forth going on. We have this. Norm Eisen is working with a group from the Alliance for Retired Americans. Random. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some USAID funding or government funding there. But for those who don't remember, Norm Eisen, he was part of Trump's impeachment. He is a former a law school classmate of Obama. He is one of the guys who wrote articles of impeachment or a case for articles of impeachment against Trump before Trump even took office in 2016. This guy has been involved. He's had his fingers involved in pretty much everything working against Trump the last 8 years. The impeachment stuff, all the legal battles surrounding the election stuff, all the legal stuff these last 4 years from Jack Smith. Like if you go to Norm Eisen's website, he basically wrote those legal briefings. He was writing, you could argue he was writing the legal briefings for Jack Smith in both the J6 case and the documents case. And now he's behind this. This is a lawsuit that they filed on behalf of the Alliance for Retired Americans, super random. And this is to basically issue a temporary restraining order preventing Elon Musk from getting access to the Treasury payment system. And this is what the TRO said. And I believe this was an Obama or Biden appointed judge who ruled on this. With the consent of the parties, the court defers ruling on the plaintiff's motion for a temporary restraining order and orders the following. The defendants will not provide, and the defendants are Scott Bessent and the Treasury Department, they will not provide access to any payment record or payment system of records maintained by or within the Bureau of the Fiscal Service, except that the defendants may provide access to the following. Tom Krause, a special government employee, and his access can only be read-only. Mr. Marco Ellis, same thing, only read-only. And then they say anybody who is an employee and who needs to have access to do their duties, but that person cannot be a special government employee. And that's the big one, because that is what Elon Musk is classified as. They're doing this to prevent Elon Musk and his Doge team from having access to the payment system so they can't stop outright the USAID stuff. So this battle is forming and taking place. They're going to fight back. It's no surprise that Norm Eisen's a part of it. He's a part of all of it. We'll see where it actually goes, because this is going to be appealed. It's going to work its way up the courts. I don't know how long it'll take. It's something we'll monitor. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to get up to the Supreme Court, potentially. And they're going to have to rule on whether what Trump is doing by making our government more efficient and stopping the wasteful spending, and whether a president who comes in with a mandate from the people to fix our government spending and stuff, if he has the ability to do that, if it's constitutional for him to run the presidency the way he sees fit and the way the people want. That's the fight we're about to see with this. Looking forward to it. What else? Oh, we got this. I should have talked about this earlier. New Lego. This is from London, the Telegraph. Lego can be anti-LGBT, says Science Museum. Museum Seeing Things Queerly tour claims people think the toy bricks are gendered and reinforces idea of heterosexuality is the norm. And yeah, obviously, the Lego bricks have a male part and a female part. That's what they call, because otherwise it doesn't work. If you put the two male parts together, you can't build anything. If you put the two female parts together, you can't build anything. The only time things can be built is if you put the male parts into the female parts. But just funny, they're still pushing this woke stuff. They haven't learned yet. It's taken over here. We're done with it. London's got some catching up to do. And I thought this was funny. This was in the replies. I just thought it was funny. Political correctness has no place in logos and has Gaza and just a bunch of random rubble. Let's see. I already did that. We're at the end here. I rushed through everything, so I think we're good. Oh, lawmakers are pushing to ban DeepSeek app from U.S. government devices. I'm surprised this didn't happen already. Lawmakers plan to introduce a bill Thursday that would ban DeepSeek's chatbot application from government-owned devices over new security concerns that the app could provide user information to the Chinese government. Yeah, no kidding. Everything coming out of China into the United States could provide access to data to the Chinese government. DeepSeek, a disruptive new Chinese AI company, emerged seemingly out of nowhere last month. I thought that was funny too, because of some of the stuff we've been talking about on some of our other shows. So keep tabs on that. How the Trump sweeping expulsions have thrown the FBI into chaos. Just a couple quotes I want to read from here. Bove. Oh yeah, this has to do with like the back and forth and them firing people. Bove told him to deliver an ultimatum to senior officials: resign by Monday or be fired. They had 4 days to decide. We tried to stop this, Driscoll told the group. 2 weeks into Trump's second term, the president and his team have moved quickly to gut aid programs, kill diversity initiatives, and push out civil servants by the thousands. The administration has also signaled it would shift more than more of the FBI's 38,000 agents, analysts, and technical experts to illegal immigration, which traditionally held a limited role for government. Kash Patel, Trump's pick to run the FBI, is expected to shrink the Bureau's counterintelligence and counterterrorism work, according to his aides. The reason I like this and wanted to highlight this is because this is what they're talking about and this is what they're doing while we have a week delay in Kash Patel's even getting voted out of committee. So the more that they can accomplish, I should have showed the story earlier, but the more they can accomplish with Trump, with Kash Patel not even at the head of the FBI, the better. Just for all reasons. We got this Panama Canal. We talked about this the other day, but it's official. Panama eliminates charge fees for U.S. government vessels to use the canal. U.S. State Department on Wednesday announced a new deal with the government of Panama that will eliminate charge fees for U.S. government vessels. The government of Panama has agreed to no longer charge fees for U.S. government vessels to transit the Panama Canal, the State Department wrote in a post Wednesday night. So that's good. Oh, here's the Treasury one I was looking for. This is what Scott Besson said, that they will have read access only. But then the lawsuit, I don't know. They clearly had more than read access only. Whew. We got through it, guys. That's all the news I had set for you. So thank you for tuning in. I'd greatly appreciate it if you'd hit that thumbs up. Trying to think if there's anything else I should say, but I don't think so. So yeah, give us a follow. We got like 4,000 followers over on Instagram, which is nuts. I cannot believe the following we've gotten very, very quickly over on Instagram. You can follow us, Badlands Media Official. So make sure you check us out over there. We'd appreciate it, and appreciate you guys sharing the stuff over there too. We're also on Facebook. I think the two accounts are connected. We did create a TikTok account. Make sure you're following the YouTube account for this show, youtube.com/@TD Herold, Herold. Working on getting the show notes. Just got to come up with the process for that. We have the producer start this week, and we're getting learning. So appreciate it, everybody. We will see you tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern here on the Daily Herold, and I'll be right back to read the rants.
Extra, extra, read all about it. 2, 3. Let's get started.
That's what she said.
Oh, that's real good.
Why they stopping me?
All right, guys. We got some rants here. Just real quick, remind everybody that we got GARC coming up. If you haven't gotten your tickets yet, I'd encourage you to do so. We still got some in-person left, and virtual tickets as well are now on sale. We're going to be doing some exclusive live streams very soon. Also, some of the merch, like some of the non-like shirts items, are now available. The shirts are going to be sold by Rise Attire at the event. So make sure if you're coming, you can anticipate getting those shirts there. Let's get to the rants here. We got 12 Indie Boy. Nice to see you, man. Just saw Sean Hannity on the Goldco ad. Guess he likes Badlands Media coverage and sponsors. Yeah, for those who didn't know, yesterday, Sean Hannity, in his little like email or post that he sends out about where to watch the press briefing from Carolyn Levitt, they included the Badlands Media Twitter post in there. I mean, it didn't get a bunch of traction. It's just kind of cool that Sean Hannity, I mean, pretty famous guy, included Badlands Media. Theory Conspiracy on X. Really enjoying these shows and your guests. Long time, huge fan. Thank you. $50. Appreciate that. Wen Lin 123. Just saying thanks for all you do in starting Badlands. Thank you, Wen Lin. Sleep State with 6,200 journalists, 707 media outlets, and 279 media NGOs lose their USAID funding. That should level the playing field for real journalists like the ones in Badlands Media. When will you go public? Don't anticipate going public, but yeah, I agree. It should. This is the initial phases of the leveling of the playing field after the mainstream media has been totally debunked. Well, first debunking, then defunding, and then they kind of die off. Ronnie79, River denied me from starting an account. I'm guessing because I don't file taxes. Maybe. I don't know. It's kind of unusual, but yeah, I'll try again. Anarchy. That outro is fire. Yeah, it was one of the accounts, maybe it was you, Anarchy, who made it. Love it. Absolutely love it. So That's everything, guys. Appreciate you tuning in. As always, make sure you share it around. Always appreciate that. Hit thumbs up, and we'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern, here on the Daily Herald. Have a great rest of your day.